Hello, I'm Gina and welcome to my channel. This is a continuation of my January reads, where I kind of rank all of my books using my fantastic book board that I got. And my previous video I went over the 3 to 4 star reads, and in this video we're going to quick run through the 4.5 and 5-star reads for the month of January. So let's get to it. The next book I read was Red Rising by Pierce Brown? Yeah, Pierce Brown. And initially, one of those, I feel like the beginning irritated me a little bit. Like our main character, he was alright in the beginning, but I guess that maybe that's the whole point. I guess, you know, characters grow as books go on and series continue, and you know, I hope he continues to grow, because he does need to do some more growing, but it's a series, so hopefully by the end of the book he'll be I just really liked the concept of this, and it had I mean, I get definitely the ending was definitely more action-packed. The beginning kind of caught you in the feels a bit. So Red Rising, you have the peoples are separated by caste. It's a very heavy caste society, and they're all color-coded.
Why is it Lulu? Are you there, Lulu?
Color-coded society, where you have the golds at the tippy top. They're like the prime specimens, the rulers, and then you have the reds, which are basically slaves. Really, they're like the bottom low rung, and they, at least there's I guess 2 like shades of reds. There's the red that the main character Darrow is, and they live underground. They live underground and basically do mining, for different things, or like a specific thing, and I don't know what it was called, but they believe that they are doing this work to make the surface of Mars livable for future generations. Surprise! The surface of Mars has been livable for generations, and nobody told them because they wanted them to keep working and to keep making life simple and better for everyone else. And then even the reds that are above ground, there is a cast of red, a lighter red, I guess, I think, or darker, I don't know, that are basically slaves up there. Like, they have no say in anything, and they do all of the grunt work, I believe, up there, like garbage people and whatnot. They take all the crap jobs. But over the course of events, Darrow, the main character, finds this stuff out and ends up infiltrating the golds and going through a Hunger Games type, I guess, competition to move up in the world and try to become an elite and to infiltrate the super high government organization to topple it all down, I guess. So I even though there was trigger warnings all over the place, I know there's a site, I believe, that gives trigger warnings, content warnings. I can't even think of all of them. There were definitely some hard scenes. They didn't necessarily, I don't feel like they ever necessarily like showed it on page, but it was alluded to, like, because people were hearing the assaults happen, I believe was the case. But it still was rough, and there wasn't a lot of in the moment consequence, really. Though there was some consequences later. And so this one actually gave a 4.5. We're moving on up. Next book we have is Reverie by Ryan LaSala. And in Reverie we follow Kane, who has no memory. Hey. Who has no memory for like the past, I want to say, months. I don't remember how many months or something like that. And then he's trying to piece together, he's accused of damaging a landmark of the town, like with an explosion, or ramming his car into it, causing an explosion. But he has no memory, and it makes no sense. And so he's piecing together clues and comes across 3 classmates, strangers, that turn out to be, claimed to be friends of his from the missing time. And then he finds out that there are these things called reveries, which are people's subconsciouses, causing an area of reality to become warped, and so they can kind of, their subconscious can live out almost like a fantasy thing. And then there is a villain, sinister force, that wants to take all the reveries and alter reality for good into their own idea of reality. And they have to try to stop this person. It's queer, and it's super imaginative. Like, these worlds that get created in these reveries are super interesting. And I really, really enjoyed this book. I can't really say what is preventing it from being a 5-star. It was just missing something. There was something that at the end of it, it didn't make me go like, something was missing. That's really, honestly, all I can say. Yeah. So let's stick it on the board. Okay. The next book on my list is Crooked Kingdom. This is the ending to the follow-up and ending to the Six of Crows duology by Lee Bardugo. And I read that last month or the month before, one of those. And this is about Kaz and his crew of, I mean, in the first book, you can call them thieves because they all have to pull off the greatest heist imaginable. And it's kind of like in a more dystopian type world. And they end up being double-crossed, and it's whole lot of adventure and shebang, and a great little group of unlikely Are they called like gutter rats? I feel like there was a term. I don't remember what the term they used for it. I don't know. And there's finding out that there's this thing, a drug called Jerdaparum, and how it can affect the Grisha, which are the people that have abilities in this world, in the Grishaverse. And so this follows the aftermath of that heist. And, oh boy. Oh boy. This is great. Like, I did really enjoy, like, the whole Shadow of Bones series. But I don't know. I feel like I might have changed my rating, because I feel like I might have given the first Shadow of Bone maybe even a 5? Maybe not. I'll have to check that. But either way, this was so close. I don't even know. Gave it a 4.5. Initially, I gave it a 4-star, but I was using G's. Okay. Now that she's done giggling, maybe. I had initially rated everything 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like for Goodreads purposes, but then I got the board and I'm like, oh, we got these 0.5s here. What do I do about that? But luckily this year I'd started using G's book roast call pile way of rating, and in there you're technically rating it 1 through 10, and then it does an equation and brings it down to a 5-star rating. So I was able to look at that 10-star rating and kind of figure out, of those 4 stars, where would the 4.5 cutoff be. Complicated, but not super. And I was able to take my 4s and divide them between 4 and 4.5, which was awesome and perfect for this board. So thank goodness for G. So that's what we got so far, if you can see that. Ooh, it's so pretty. I'm definitely a visual person. If you don't know, now you know. I have aphantasia. I have the inability to visualize things. So when I read books, or I'm on that spectrum, I don't know if I have complete aphantasia, but it is very, it's rare. Almost never do I visualize things. You could even possibly say never. Oh my god, stickers. So when I read books, I don't, and I think that's always been my struggle. Like, I can't do, like I tried to do fan cast for one of the Blackathon prompts. I was like, if I don't have the book anymore and I can't specifically look at the book and like look at a description of the person, I didn't picture anything while I was reading it. So unless there was like a face on the cover, or like I still have it and I can physically read the description, it's a lost cause. But the next book that is on my list is Toni Morrison's The Bluest Eye. This was my first, I'm pretty sure my first Toni Morrison book, and it was really good. I don't know why I say that. I'm not surprised that it was really good. I am a little bit surprised.
Sorry.
Not that it was good, but that I enjoyed it. I'm definitely more of a romance, fantasy, you know, I hate to say this, but books that make me think. I don't want to use my brain like that. But I'm trying to be better, and I'm just in awe of Toni Morrison and her writing, and it makes you think, but it's not, it's still a little bit over my head. But it's almost nice. Like, there's lots of books that I would not be able to reread again, because once I know the plot, it's like whatever. But there's so much in the background of Tony's books that I feel like I could reread them again and always be finding new things, learning new things, making new connections. So I think that's really fantastic. I just struggle when there's any, and I know it's not anything against her books, but where there's any theme of assault, and there's children involved or anything like that. I don't care how well you write it, really. I don't care that it was done for a purpose. The fact that I had to read about it is going to, I don't think I'm ever going to be able to give it a 5-star. And that's just a me thing. It's just, so that's the only reason why it is a 4.5 in my opinion. And that is nothing against the book or her. It's just my brain cannot do that. So next we have wait. Oh, I went out of order. You see what happens? Screwed everything up, but that's okay. So we have The Crown of Midnight by Sarah J. Maas. And I think this is only my second ever Sarah J. Maas book, I believe. I read Throne of Glass previous month. And this is really one of those things where it was just because everybody and their mother was talking about it on YouTube. And it fit a prompt, I think, about an assassin I needed the previous month. And so I was like, you know what? I'm just going to jump on the train. Though I've heard maybe some not so great things about Sarah J. Maas or some controversy. But I think I'll still continue on with the series. It was really good. I enjoyed it. I'm almost always going to love a book about a badass female character. But yeah, so this one is about an assassin, the king's assassin. She's kind of forced in a way to be his assassin. Like, she was removed from like a prison camp and said, well, if you want to live, I need you to do this. And so now she's trying to, anybody that the king hears about in a, ooh, is this loose? That might be even thinking about inciting rebellion. And then there's a little bit, my only issue. It was more so in the first book, still in this one a little bit. We've got that dastardly love triangle thing happening, and I'm just like, ugh, can we just not, please? But really, other than the love triangle nonsense, I really enjoyed it. I gave it a 4.5. Yeah. Next we have The Stars and the Blackness Between Them by Janada, Petras. And I listened to this on audiobook. And this story, you have, so in The Stars and the Blackness Between Them, you have 16-year-old Audrey, and she lives in Trinidad, and we're following her story as she kind of talks about her relationship. She falls in love with like the pastor's daughter, and how their love came, and also her relationship with her grandmother Queenie. This hair. And who's teaching her healing, and Mabel, who lives in Minneapolis, and she's trying to get over her ex, and trying to figure out the way she feels about her ex, and then not really get over him, but the way she feels about her ex boyfriend compared to this girl Jada, and kind of like almost like figuring out her sexuality in a way, while also dealing with her health. No, it just came loose. Okay. And then Audrey gets caught, and her mom loses it and sends her to live with her dad in Minneapolis. And her and Mabel start hanging out because their dads are friends, and Mabel tries to cheer her up and introduce her and get her accustomed to Minneapolis. Mabel falls hard, and Mabel gets sick. And oh boy, the emotions in this one. I really thought this was going to be a 5-star read. But just like Moonstone, I don't like these kinds of endings. I don't like them. Don't like them. And yeah, I don't like, no. Wasn't for me. The ending just crapped all over my feelings. And not even that, it just didn't give me the resolution that I wanted, that I needed. And so this was a 4.5 star for me. And let's put that right there. Woo woo. And then let's quick mention the last 3 Bridgerton books that I read the first 5 in December, and then I read the next 3 all in, it was attempting in preparation for the show. I don't think I had quite finished all 8 books when the show came out. Tessa? Oh my god, sticker. I am a sucker for romance books. That was one of my first big loves. I would literally go to the library and grab like a shelf full of romance books. Like I'd go to like the Harlequin section or whatever and just bring home like a handful of those little Harlequin romances or a bundle of historical romance. And then it flipped into paranormal romance. I found Shifters, and I did branch into, I would mix in fantasy every now and then, but when I just wanted to, like, romance was like my comfort reads, I guess you would say. So, Tessa, I love the Bridgerton series. Like most, so this is the 6th book by Julia Quinn, On the Way to the Wedding. This one was, no, I lied. These are not in order. This is the 8th book. This is Gregory? I think that was his name. The youngest boy This is technically the 8th book. The reason why I'm talking about the 8th book first, it was because it was my least favorite of these last 3, of the last 3 in the Bridgerton. I gave it a 4.5. I don't know if also as part of it that we didn't really get a chance to know him too much. We knew him a bit. They talked about him in his sister's book, which I believe it's in his Kiss. Okay, so we do end up getting a little bit of Gregory in his sister Hyacinth's book, which was book number 7, because those are the 2 youngest, and I feel like there were a big jump between them and the other siblings, so they were like always together, almost like their own set of siblings within a set of siblings. But Gregory believes in true love, but he believes that when he meets, though, he will just know the one, like the instant they meet, he'll know. Gregory's definitely mixing up lust, instant attraction, compared to love. Like, he doesn't even know this girl, but he fancies himself in love and wants to try to win the heart of his true love, but she's in love with somebody else, and her best friend doesn't think that the person she's in love with is a good match, and tries to get her to connect with Gregory, and in the process, they fall in love, and things happen from there, because technically Lucy's engaged, the best friend, but I don't think she's ever met the guy. I don't know, it's really weird, but I feel like there was just a bit of disconnect there, but I did really enjoy it. There was just something missing. I didn't connect as much to the characters in this book, but I still gave it a 4.5 because it was still fantastic and still made my heart go, and then let's talk about, well, since we just mentioned it, we'll talk about book 7, which was Hyacinth's story. It's in his Kiss, and Hyacinth is our super smart, all of the sisters are super intelligent, and she ends up crossing paths with Gareth, I think his name was, who I want to say was like the nephew of Lady, oh my gosh, what's her name? Brain fart. The sassy aunt, old lady. I cannot remember her name for the life of me. But a father-son relationship that is not fantastic. They don't get along. What did you? You have in his one. He ends up finding or is bequeathed his grandma's diary or something. I forgot whose diary it is, but it's written all in Italian, and he doesn't speak Italian, so he gets Hyacinth to translate it for him, and then a connection grows, and there's a treasure hunt, and it was a really cute story, and I really like this. Yeah. So this one I did give a 5-star. Oh, that's my first 5-star on the board. Look at that. And then we'll talk about book 6. We'll go back to book 6, which was also 5-star. Spoiler. And this one is Francesca? Right, yeah. Francesca's story, the missing sister. The sister that you, like, never see in any of the books, because she married right away, and that was not the love story that we're told, because it's a short one, because Francesca's husband passes away, and then this is all about his best friend and her best friend. Like, it was the three of them always together. Technically, the best friend, Michael, is an infamous rake. He fell in love with Francesca, or, you know, fell fast, apparently, and then found out that she was engaged to his cousin. That's what it was, cousin, not best friend. But the three of them stay friends. He pushes it away. He still got her in her life because she's like his best friend, and he's best friends with his cousin. But now Michael is about to be the Earl because his cousin passed away, and he's reconciling his feelings and worried about losing her in his life. And she doesn't know that he's in love. Fantastic. Fantastic. I'm just a sucker. I'm a sucker, man. That's what it is. Sucker. They got me. They got me. Ooh, we're getting there. We're getting there. 4 more. The next 5-star book was In an Absent Dream by Shannon McGuire. I am loving this series. This is it's called Wayward Children, I think is technically the name of the series. And I have been eating them up. I think I've just been reading like one every month, basically. And in this one, we follow Lundy, who we've met in previous books. In previous books, she's the helper of the lady that runs the school. Really? You're making hee-hee-hees. I've gone from humming to hee-hee-hees. I can't win. And, but this is a prequel, basically, because when we meet Lundy in the previous books, she's obviously been to her world already, and she's working at the school, helping the owner, founder. But this is a prequel where we're hearing her story, who would rather study and dream than become a housewife and live up to the expectations of females in the world. And so she's found a world based on logic, reason, riddles. She thinks it's a paradise, but it's the goblin market, and there's a price for everything, and it's a very specific bartering kind of system, and you have a time limit to decide whether you want to stay or go. Like, once you reach a certain age, you either have to stay or you have to go. And she made a bargain, didn't play out so well, and so, like, we know how her story ends up because we've seen her. Oh, my neck itches. I still loved it, but man, even though you knew what was coming, it was still sad, in a way, but I still really enjoyed it, and this goblin market was just crazy. So I did give it a 5-star. I loved every single book in this series, and I can't see that changing in the future. Now this next one, we're going to just talk about this quick. This is not going to be even quicker because I can't, I don't know what, I can't. So my TBR Clever game for the month of January, that's what we're doing. One of the cards I picked from Jesse's deck of TBR was to find an interesting author and binge read their works. And so I was just kind of searching and Googling and whatnot. Oh my god, my eyeballs. Okay. And came across this author, and I feel like I'm sorry if you ever see this, and I'm probably going to butcher your name. Okay. Kaylin Rywiol? Rhywyol? And they, believe their pronouns were they, are I don't remember if it was non-binder or genderqueer writer who I believe also is autistic. So a whole lot of intersections going on. And they write a lot of erotica, as well as some other stuff. Queer, a lot with poly relationships. So I was like, oh my god, like everything I've ever wanted in my life, I need to read it. The one thing I really wanted to read was this Ilavani comic or graphic novel series that she had. At least I think it was a graphic novel, whatever. Unfortunately, it's out of print everywhere. I did email Kaylin and to ask if they knew of any way I could get a copy, and luckily they said that they are in the middle of doing a second edition reprint, and to keep a lookout for that. So hopefully I'll be able to read that series sometime this year. Cross our fingers. I did buy their other book, Bloodbound. I'm in the middle of that one right now, but I was able to binge read all of their smaller erotica. Like, one was a I would say it would be a novella, short story, and the rest were like minis. They were like addendums to the Ilavani series that I want to read. So I got to know some of the characters a little bit, but they're all really short, like 9 pages, 14 pages, 7 pages. So just like little additions, kind of. They were like the training chronicles of these characters and a couple of other stories. I technically did print out stickers for all of them, but they were also so short. I don't have a lot of space on this board, so I'm going with the bigger story that I've read, which is called Mothman. And Kaylin writes a lot of, some of it was just different. Like, there's definitely quite a few of these shorts had like BDSM themed stuff, A Harsher Kiss, Serving Nera's Need. What were the other ones? A Dancer's Hope, Yahuya's Suspension, Anna's Choice, and then there was Serving the Dragon. So that was like a dragon human, and not like a dragon shifter. I thought that's what it was going to be. But then there was, as they were describing the scene, I was like, nope, that's not a human shape. So that was interesting. That was the first time I've ever come across that. Overall, I really enjoyed them. I think, off the top of my head, there was maybe 1 or 2 that were just all right for me. But Mothman is what it sounds like. Like, it was a shifter book, kind of. Not really. They didn't, they're Mothmen. People that are also moths. So they have wings, but they can be hidden, but everything else was very human-like. And so the main character in here doesn't know that she is a moth person, and ends up in the process of some struggles. She's just lost some family, and her farm is on the brink of being auctioned off or something. She stumbles into her old friend crush. I can't remember if they had a relationship previously. And his partner. And apparently in the Mothman tradition, it's usually triads. And so, yeah, it was a whole triad polyamory moth person situation, with also a lot of BDSM themes. So that was fantastic, and whoo boy, steamy. So that was a 5-star for me. There were a few, I think, Yahui's got a 5, Dancers got a 5, Nira's Need and the Drakan were 4 stars. Girls, only because that non-human, it was like a non-human relationship aspect that I was not ready for. I don't know if I'll ever be ready for that. So, but it still was really great writing and really great. The only one I think that I didn't rate very highly, it was good. What just wasn't for me was Anna's Choice and Consequence of Volume 1, which is a quick 9 pages. But I struggle with things where women don't really have a choice in the matter. The consent is only really there because she was drugged and didn't really have a choice between... I mean, she did, because she was given like a fantastic life and money and everything by being with these 2 men and making a baby, I think, is what the point was. But it was just like the snippet of her choice. And so, yeah, that one I only gave a 3-star for. But the next book is The Girl in the Clockwork Collar by Katie Cross. I am loving this series. I've got this thing for a new love for steampunk, especially steampunk with women main characters. I'm all about the feminine power these days. And just like the first one, this one was amazing. Oh my god, I can't. Struggle is real. In the first book, we meet Finley Jane, who's got this darkness inside of her. In the first book, it's all about her putting those 2 halves kind of back together, though the darkness gives her strength and whatnot. And then she meets a band of misfits led by a duke. It's all sorts of sciencey, fantastical, steampunky fantasticness. And like in that first book, they are fighting a evil mastermind who's using automatons to try to, like, I don't remember what he was doing with them, but he was a bad guy, you know. And in this book, we travel from London to America to try to rescue one of their friends, Jasper, from the clutches of a devious criminal. Yeah, and so not much I want to say about this other than that I loved it. 5-star. The characters are fantastic. The storyline, top notch. It is funny though reading the like really low reviews for some of my for that 5-star book in particular, because a lot of people are not fans apparently, but I don't care. I love what I love. That's all there is to it. That's all I'm saying. So the last book, finally, is my nonfiction for the month, which was also a 5-star. I am killing it with my nonfiction picks. But this is The Warmth of Other Suns by Isabel Wilkerson. And this is the story of the epic Great Migration. So she interviewed thousands of people that had directly been in the Great Migration, or possibly like their descendants. And she told this story following 3 main stories going in 3 different directions. So one migration to California, one to Milwaukee, Chicago, one to New York, over the course of 3 different decades. Like one left in like the 30s, one in the 40s, one in the 50s, something like that. Dates, I'm bad with dates. And intermixed in other people's, tidbits when they coincided, or to help with the narrative. And there's a lot of hard stuff. I mean, obviously, we're talking slavery, the end of slavery, Jim Crow era, lots of utter crap. But just the way she tells this, I've never been a history person. History has never been my strong suit. Like, I hated history class. Like, who wants to memorize a bunch of dates? Like, I feel like the date is the least important part of history. Like, yes, the general, like, time period, but the actual specific date, I don't know. Unless you're doing trivia, I don't think it's the biggest importance. Like, so I hated that would seem to always be like a big focus of history, rather than the stories of the people that were living in that time. That's what makes history come alive. Like, that's what I care about. And she did a fantastic job of telling me their stories and letting me know my history. Like, this is the history of my 5 stars. Fantastic. I believe she also wrote Cast. So I'm definitely, that's on my TBR, and I'm looking forward to reading that. But this is, we're going to up this. This is something that Kaibox and Mikachi use, and I didn't know if I was ever going to use it, but they have this extra bar up here. It's their God tier, their star rating, which tops all of their 5 stars. If you could go above a 5-star. You know what? I'm doing it. I'm going above a 5-star with The Warmth of the Suns, and I didn't think that was going to happen. So we're doing that. And there we have it. That is my January reads. And as you can see by that 4-star and the fact that this was only the first month of the year, I'm screwed. I really don't want to order another one of these because it wasn't cheap. I wonder if I could have somebody make one for me. Yeah, there we go. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Let me know if you read any of these, if you disagree with any of my ratings, because that's always fun. And I will catch you in the next one.